Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be checking out this, a 4K projector from Paris Rhone. So this guy is a little bit too big to do a top-down view for you while we're unboxing it. So we're just going to go ahead and show you what we get as we go here. This is a 4K projector that has some pretty cool features here, such as using Wi-Fi 6 for faster streaming and downloading speeds, as well as Bluetooth 5.0 when connecting to your devices. Here in the very top we see a big white box, no real markings, but inside we have our instruction manual, the power supply / power adapter here. That guy's a chunk. An HDMI cable, and the other half of our power adapter. And lastly, all the way over here, we have our remote. Batteries are not included with this guy, so you will need 2 AAA batteries. Moving down the line here, we're down to just the projector itself. I'm gonna have to stand up for this. Just got the projector itself left. It's kind of an all-in-one in this package here. There we go. It is a big chunky boy. It is much bigger than I anticipated. I thought the box was just too big, but no, this guy is like serious. Boy, I can't get over how big this is. This is like a permanent fixture type of projector. So just looking at the styling of the outside of this, we do have like a fabric mesh here on this side. And it looks like we have a IR laser or something to help with focusing. It does advertise that it does self-focus with a plus or minus 40-degree keystone as well, correction. So it probably uses this lens right here to maybe figure out keystone, things like that. And this big cover here is just a cap. It doesn't screw on or off. It almost looks like it should screw on, but it's just a press on and off rubber cap over our ginormous lens. Look at that guy. This will project a screen at 4K up to 150 inches. That's massive. I don't think I have anything that big, aside from maybe a neighbor's house. I know I do have a 100-inch screen that we'll be able to test this guy out on. And then on the back here, we do have USB-C, a headphone jack for external speakers if you want to do that, 2 HDMI ports, 2 USB ports, an Ethernet port so you can connect it to a network directly if you want, and then our power port there. On the top we have a simple power button, and then on the bottom we also have a little switch here that I believe releases this, which is a foot. There we go, to give you a little bit of a upward angle if it's setting on a table. It looks like it only comes down about an inch. Something this big, that almost feels silly. Let's go ahead and plug this guy in and see what we can do in here in a well-lit studio environment, right? I just reached my 5,000 subscriber milestone, and to celebrate, I am hosting a giveaway of all of the really great items I've had to review. So this guy right here, little wireless magnetic charger for your phones, Apple and Android compatible. I also have a Lux bidet. I have a security camera, but this isn't even the best one. I have the Eufy E330 security system that will be given away. It comes with a Homebase 3 and a 1 terabyte hard drive. I also have a bunch of phone cases that I've reviewed as well. I'll be giving away a bunch of those that go to the Galaxy S24 Ultra, so make sure you enter. There will be a link to gleam.io in the description of this video. Click on that, enter the drawing. It does end July 31st of 2024, but thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers, and I'm gonna let you guys get back to the video. All right, plugging it in, we get a little red light on the top here. We can tap that. It'll start to kick on. Oh, there it is. Wow. So it does automatically focus itself. Let's see if we can turn it around for you guys. Alright, it is pretty close to this wall, but let's see if it can autofocus here. I can see it kind of moving in and out trying to focus. We might be too close still. Yeah, we're too close. I'm gonna flip the camera around and we're gonna face it towards the door behind you. Alright, now it's got a surface it can hopefully read off of here. Oh, look at that, you can even read the text. Look at that! The autofocus is totally working on its own. And now, welcome to the 4K ultra clear projector. Press any key or enter to continue. Find my remote and hit OK. Please install the battery and take out the... Yeah, it's just telling me to put the batteries in the remote, which we already did. Press and hold left and right. Okay, I heard it. Okay, successfully connected to the remote control. Alright. Language is English. Go to next. Now we can set our time and date off of the network, or we can tell it where we are. It looks like it's thinking we're Eastern time, but -4? Maybe it's -4 for this time of year. Daylight savings, blah blah blah. And today, which is not September 21st, 2023. Alright, you know what? Let's go ahead and take this guy outside. Let's do the rest of our setup here. Alright, you guys, let's go ahead and test this guy out. See if we're far enough or close enough or where this needs to be. It definitely needs to point much higher. Luckily, the power brick on this thing is a beast. So we should be able to dial it in with that. Okay. There it is. Okay. So now we're going to see if it can autofocus. The sun has yet to go down. We're just underneath my patio here, so hopefully it has little enough light that it can also see. But I can see that it's autofocusing in and out. This is like, okay, blurry. I'll tell you when it's perfectly clear. Hopefully you can see it too. This is in 4K, but oh, dang it, did I interrupt it? It did really good inside, and it might just be because it's too light out here, or the screen is too far away, or screen might be too, I don't know, whatever weird thing is going on. We'll test it again in the dark to see if we can get it right. Alright, now that it's a little darker, we're going to try again and see if it can autofocus correctly. Look at that, first try. Perfectly crisp 4K video. Alright, hello to the 4K ultra clear projector. Press any key to continue. Alright, so the first thing I'm noticing is it is not adjusting for the keystone on this screen. You can see we're kind of almost off the corner here, but not here. So what we want to do is on the remote, you push the settings gear here, and then we can go into our projection settings. Then we can say trapezoidal. Oh, look at that. Hey, perfect. Holy cow. That one little thing, just going in and into settings and turning trapezoidal. Let's do that again real quick so you can see what it looks like now. So we hit our settings gear, go to our projection settings, and right here on trapezoidal, we turned that to open, and it automatically adjusted our keystone. So now you can see this is perfectly straight up and down, perfectly square. This thing has automatically done everything. This is awesome. I'm pretty impressed. And then on the remote here, there's a like a bullseye in the center, And the bullseye in the center will turn on autofocus, or if you want to manually adjust it, there's a plus or minus on either side to adjust your autofocus if it doesn't get it quite right. Now let's go ahead and go home and see if we can find some 4K YouTube videos to watch. As you can see, I've actually brought in my old projector here for comparison. Let me go ahead and pause this guy for a second. 4K video is pretty big on YouTube, so it's going to take a second to download all that to play smoothly. However, I have my little guy. This one only does 1080p, and unfortunately, it's not nearly as bright as this other one, as you can see here. And then if we go ahead and play, it does only play in 1080p, and this is how big it plays. And I think we're about maxing out the speakers. I got the other one. Oh man, these poor speakers are struggling to just play this like super simple, what do you call that? Royalty-free music. But let's go ahead and pause this one again here. We're playing parts of the same video. They're not synchronized exactly because for some reason this guy, while this image is amazing, the image quality is actually like super bright, vibrant. You can see everything, and then comparing it to my old one here, you can see the screen is like, yeah, sure, the picture looks good, but it's still dim, and it's dark outside, man. And it's still dim out here, like, I don't know. And the sound quality, holy cow. This Paris Rhone projector has two 12-watt speakers, and right now they're only at about, I think it's 40% volume? Let's see. Oh, 20. We're at 20% volume. And it's plenty loud for like somebody who's here. You can barely hear the fan noise over it, but if you're watching like a movie and stuff, you really want to crank it up, you can really crank this up. And with those 12-watt speakers, you're gonna have fantastic sound. You're not gonna need an external speaker like my poor, sad other projector over here, that it needs an actual external speaker. Otherwise you hear fan noise over these speakers that are about to die because it sounds like they're blowing out, and they're mostly new. Like, I hardly use these things. Most people don't use projectors a ton. This guy hasn't been used a whole time, but look at that image quality on this. 100-inch screen, and it'll go up to 150 inches. This thing is designed to be like stationary too. That's one thing to keep in mind, is this is made to be like in your home setup. It's not necessarily a transportable projector. This is one, if you want to set up your home theater, this is the projector you want for your home theater. Because it has autofocus, it automatically does our marquee, what do you call that? Our keystone adjustment to adjust it in and out for if it's looking down or up. I think you guys kind of get the idea and the point of how good this projector is. Let me go ahead and take you guys inside, and we'll do a final review of this projector versus my old projector, and the things I like, dislike, and anything else about this one. Alright you guys, so I have a couple of things I should probably tell you. So when I reached out to Paris Rhone about reviewing this, I hadn't actually taken a hard look at all of the other reviews on this product. Well, after getting it and starting my review, I started seeing other reviews from people like Unbox Therapy and all of these other reviews. I then realized, oh my goodness, I could have found out much earlier that this is way bigger than I anticipated. I expected the lens on this to be about the same size as mine, which is probably like a 2-inch lens. And so this proportionally would have been much smaller package, about half the size is what I was expecting, and this thing is huge. Nevertheless, this thing is awesome. I didn't realize how cool this was going to be when I reached out to Paris Rhone, and I was like, hey, this looks really cool, I'd love to review this. And here we are anyway, a 4K projector that I think it might check quite a few boxes for most people, aside from portability. Just because of its sheer size. Technically, yes, you definitely can transport it places. I wouldn't recommend it personally. I don't know if they recommend it or not. If it was going to be portable, I honestly, even if it wasn't portable, I wish it had a carrying case. Just something like, even if you're in like an office setting, that like this isn't always out, even though the really nice design, you got the like the fabric mesh on the front and the back, and like just the really modern, cool design that this has. I wish that it had a carrying case or a storage case or something like that, so that it could be a little bit portable without having to be like, hey, take this on your trip or take this out into your outdoor outing. This is not necessarily that, but this projector is really, really cool, and it is set up to do all of the things that you would want from a like home projector or business projector. This thing can get huge, up to like 150 inches. For reference, I ended up just putting this out on my fence. 150 inches puts your screen at like 6 feet tall and 11 feet wide. Like, huge. And to get that, this guy does have a couple of like minimum requirements. To reach that full 150 inch screen, you'll actually pull your projector 13 feet away from what it's projecting on to get that 150 inches. Well, and some of you guys would be like, well, I don't need 150 inches. We're gonna have like 100 inch, so it's gonna be less than that. But the minimum, the smallest this can go is a 44 inch screen. So just keep that in mind if you're like, hey, I only have this small space and I have to have it kind of close. The closest you can be is 50 inches from the wall, and it'll give you a 44 inch screen. So they're almost a 1-to-1 of distance to size, almost, but the closest you can be is 50 inches. So make sure you at least have that much space between your projector and whatever you're going to project on. If you are really close like that, this is going to be a super bright screen. Super high resolution on a very small space. You could probably get away with using this like even in like the daytime, maybe not outside in the daylight, but during the daytime with lights on and things like that, if you are that close, because all of those 600 lumens are just being like mega projected onto a tiny little space of only 44 inches, which is weird to say that only 44 inches. That's actually a pretty decent screen size, right? Next thing I do want to talk about is the sound on this guy. I did not expect the sound to be so good. I've never heard a projector this good before. I've worked with tons of projectors, whether they're in like school environments, work environments, church environments. You go into your friend's house for their little outdoor movie night party, or even my own projector. The projector, the fan is loud and the speakers are dismal, so you almost always have to have some sort of external speaker source. This guy has the two 12-watt speakers that in my testing, I never went over 50% volume. Actually, I did for a moment and realized this is going to bother the neighbors. This is way too loud. So I had then turned it down, and I kept it at about 20% volume in my testing. While I'm not trying to entertain a whole crowd in my testing, so you may raise your volume a little bit more, and always movies and things like that are a little bit quieter, so you crank it up a little bit more. But this definitely has the capability of doing everything you need all in this one package, whether it's producing the sound and putting out a fantastic picture. Speaking of fan noise, like I mentioned on the other ones, this does have a fan noise, but it is actually pretty minimal. So the ambient sound level is about 42 decibels. Let's go ahead and see how loud it gets when we turn it on. And there's the sound of the fan hovering just under 50 decibels until I start talking. While it's just idling, the room noise or the outdoor noise is about 42 decibels. This is just like silence, when you guys have birds chirping in the trees or wind blowing through the grass. Like 42 decibels is really quiet. This is less than 50 decibels with the fan on. So I would say not really something to worry about, especially when you have these 12-watt speakers to totally overpower the sound of the fan. You totally forget that that's even a thing. The next thing is going to be the first negative I have to bring up. The power cord. It's really short. Anywhere that I would be putting this cable, I'd need an extension cord, even if it's just like an extra couple of feet, because this cord is pretty short. I think overall it's less than 6 feet, or it might actually be just 6 feet. And it's kind of a bulky cable. The power brick on it isn't on like one end or the other, it's kind of in the middle. And so it almost, like if you're having to like drape across the space, it's gonna be this giant weight just sitting there pulling down. I don't love that. So if wherever you're going to be putting it, either plan on having a extension cord or power strip running to it, or make sure that there's an outlet nearby. Next thing I do want to mention though is right on the top of this guy, I'm going to cover this, but it has an 18-month warranty. 18 months! Most things are like, oh yeah, 12 months. Or like with Amazon, it's like 90 days from when it's delivered. And I'm like, sometimes I don't get around to like opening the box on things. Unfortunately, that's maybe like an issue with like product review guys like me. I don't get around to actually opening the box for like a month, 2 months, sometimes 3. I'm sorry. Paris Rhone is probably pretty annoyed with me because it did take me a minute to get around to this video, but I am glad that they sent this to me and let me check this guy out. This is super cool. One kind of interesting but also really useful feature, anytime this gets bumped or moved, it has some sort of gyroscopic sensor so that it knows that it's been moved, and it will actually automatically autofocus the screen for you. So it'll go back to that screen with the corners and the boxes and the text across the middle. It'll go back to that screen and refocus itself. So if you just pick it up and set it down, it'll be like, hey, I want to make sure you got good focus. It'll autofocus again. Initially, I was going to be kind of picking on this guy because when you put it on a table like this, it shoots pretty low, and then this little foot of a kickstand on the bottom here, you push this little lever, I think, right there, and the foot will come out. So that is not much rise to adjust for like it pointing this way. If it's on a perfectly flat surface, at 150 inches and about, I think it was like a 28-inch table, it was projecting exactly at the floor and at 6 feet high. So this perfectly level at about 28 to 30 inches is projecting center screen, everything like that. You don't, like, Keystone will be perfect on it. However, in realistic scenarios, most screens are up off the ground, and so I had to prop this guy up. And luckily it's got that massive power brick on it, so I just tucked that guy underneath here and it kind of angled it up, which worked out. Is it going to work out in your situation? Not always, but that's something to keep in mind if you're just sitting out on a surface with like a temporary, like, hey, we put this in for like movie night and then we pull it out, but we don't go anywhere with it. It's like movie night in our backyard, in our home, whatever. That's fine. However, if you are going to be like in a permanent office situation or things like that, you are going to want to get the mounting bracket. While Paris Rhone, I didn't see anywhere online that they have their own mounting bracket, but if you just search projector mounting bracket, there's kind of a standardization of those. And then this has those 4 little holes here in our feet that will then screw onto a mounting bracket. That way you can mount it on a ceiling, on a wall, on the floor, on a table, wherever you need to mount it. It is totally mountable. It's not super easy like my smaller projector. It's just a 1/4-20 screw, the same one that my cameras use and so many other products use. But those are not nearly stable enough to handle something of this size. This is not a light product. It's carryable, it's movable, but it is definitely sizable. So I wouldn't trust it to just put on top of like a tripod stand. You can't always get a good hold, and over time it might drift up, down, left, right. But that's just something to keep in mind. Make sure you do get a proper mounting bracket for it if you do want to just put it on a stand or something like that, or mount it on a ceiling or anything like that. The one thing you do want to be careful with is this here is our vent for cooling and ventilating and whatnot. So this filter here, every once in a while you'll have to get in there, remove this screw, and that comes open so you can replace the filter. But make sure it's not something that's going to be like blocking this filter. While the little bit of rise you get off of these feet should be sufficient, maybe look for one that doesn't completely block this filter. Next, I did cover this earlier, but I want to make sure, do not forget to turn on auto keystone. While autofocus is turned on automatically, your keystone correction is set to manual by default. If you want that to be automatically adjusting, you'll want to go into your settings and then go to the projection settings, then go to trapezoidal, and hit the little switch it to make it go to open, and it'll have you reboot when you go from, I think it's closed to open. Once it reboots, it'll automatically adjust the keystone and everything like that. One of the other cool features that I didn't really get a chance to test out, but it does have an intelligent obstacle avoidance. So if you have like pictures, decorations, plants, objects around where the screen is going to be projecting, this will automatically see like, hey, these are some odd things, and shrink the screen size down to fit that space without any obstruction. Next, let's talk about all of the connection options on this guy. So you have a Ethernet cable here on the end, and then we got 2 USB ports for things like whether you want to add like a mouse as an accessory, or just have a USB stick with videos stored on it, or maybe an external hard drive with videos on it. You can plug that into your USB port. We have 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, and then lastly we have a USB-C port and a headphone jack. Believe it or not, you can just plug this guy in for audio. You can also just connect this guy as a Bluetooth speaker. So if you don't need video projecting, but you're like, hey, you know what? It's got really great speakers. You can Bluetooth your phone to it. It won't project anything out, and boom, there you go. You do have to turn on the screen and like use the menus to connect it as a Bluetooth speaker, but once it's playing, you can cover up your lens with this little silicone cover and you're good to go. One other thing that isn't shown in your connections is it uses Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5. So that means it's going to have a super quick connection as long as your network can support it. Some of you may have noticed that my videos were a little bit choppy when I was outside testing those, and that's unfortunately because my Wi-Fi here isn't great. So I have to have everything directly wired in, and I don't have the option to throw a wire down to my patio where I was doing the testing. So having an Ethernet cable wasn't necessarily an option out there, but if you're in an office environment or your home and it's in a permanent location, this can totally have an Ethernet cable run to it, and you'll never have speed issues aside from whatever your internet service provider is giving you. Speaking of speed, we also mentioned that it's an HDMI 2.1. This does support 4K at 60 frames per second. So that means this guy is ready for gaming too. This would be so much fun. Could you imagine like a tournament of you and your friends all having like your little quarter of the screen at 150 inches? That's like each one of you having a 75-inch screen for your gaming. Like, that would be so much fun and really cool. And it's not just like a up-res 4K blah blah blah. No. This is a native 4K, super high resolution, super accurate, super like, it's really nice. Go ahead and check out like other video reviews if you're worried about like, is it real 4K? Like, this thing is solid 4K video. I don't know the best way to show that to you other than like what I was trying to show you there, but like honestly, it just looks fantastic. This also uses Android TV, so it has all of the apps and games and things like that that you would expect from an Android TV device, and then you don't need like a Fire Stick, a Chrome Stick, or any like Stream Box or anything like that. This has everything all in one, where other projectors of this caliber at this price point don't typically offer that feature. If you want to get this guy for yourself, I'll have an Amazon affiliate link down in the description of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Don't forget, my 5,000 subscriber giveaway is still going on till the end of July, so make sure you enter into that. Link will also be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to just hate on me for this really cool projector I just got, down in the comments, I will be there. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.